TikTok is pulling out as a sponsor at the Toronto International Film Festival and Juno Awards as it prepares to comply with a federal order from last year to shut down operations here in Canada.
TikTok Canada says Ottawa is now enforcing that order, citing national security concerns. TikTok has sponsored TIFF programs since 2022 and the Junos since 2020. Other sponsorships being ended in Canada include for a charity that supports high school music programs and another for Indigenous content creators. So for more on this morning, let's bring in media consultant Mohit Rajans to get his take on things. Mohit, always good to talk to you about these sort of situations here. What is your overall assessment of TikTok? Is this a kind of tit for tat move back and forth saying, hey, if the government doesn't want us here, we're not going to help Canada?
Yeah, I think that when we talk on the show about technology, we talk about it from the lens of people, policy, and progress, right? And this really does have a trickle-down effect. TikTok has had a massive impact in Canada and around the world. And what we're seeing now with this pulling of funding is that it's not just about the impact that it's going to have on the cultural scene, but it's also going to have a massive impact on the way that people want to do business with TikTok and how the digital economy uses Canada as a place that they want to expand.
Yeah, Mohit, we've had a lot of guests on our show, pardon me, that are Indigenous content creators that have made the lists promoting TikTok Canada. Remind us why this is being pulled from TikTok, these national security concerns from the Canadian government. What exactly are the issues? Is it because it's from a Chinese company?
Well, I think what we have to understand is that this country needs the policy faster when it comes down to what those rules and regulations are. You're talking about a government and an election that used TikTok itself and spent a ton of money on the platform and now is asking them to wind down operations in that same country. What we're hearing from many sides is that, yes, it's still a data sovereignty issue where China cannot actually produce the proof that they're not using the data nefariously. But TikTok is also, this is a small market for TikTok. And what we have to understand is that I would argue that most of the discovery that's happened of Canadian artists when it comes down to this generation has happened through that same app. So where are we going to go with this when it comes down to understanding what the rules are for companies like TikTok in the future?
Are there not other platforms, though, Mohit, that, creators could actually sort of potentially turn to? I mean, we're in this interesting environment right now where we're so elbows up when it comes to, say, America and what's happening there. But when we put our elbows up about this, suddenly people are getting a little bit, hurt, it seems.
Well, I mean, let's not discount the fact that we have to talk about strategy here when it comes down to companies. Okay, so if companies sort of do a digital marketing plan, they're planning 3 or 4 seasons in advance. They can't just suddenly pull that marketing budget and find money on some new Canadian platform. Everything ends up taking a certain amount of time to grow. TikTok grew exponentially, has been a very important factor to Canadian small businesses and the digital economy. And it's going to be important for the government to be clear about what it is that they don't want companies doing moving forward in our digital economy.
Okay. And Mohit, I know that there was some drama and controversy with, TikTok even existing or being available in the U.S. What's the status of that? I know when U.S. President Donald Trump got sworn in again, he kind of reinstated that. So where are we with that?
Well, I'm a little worried about how different the story is in the U.S. and how it has impact on Canada. For one, I've heard on the political side that there might be a spin-off of ByteDance-related company that's going to comply with U.S. regulations. But I also don't necessarily know where Canada fits in to the market for these types of companies in the future. Remember, TikTok did come in the last decade and have such a big impact. But what does that mean for the company that's, in India or in another country right now building an app that they want to actually release? Will Canada now be banned from their apps, or will companies not want to work in Canada because of regulation? That's what we have to start thinking about next. I do feel sorry for companies like TIFF, for example. They're moving into their 50th year. They're supposed to be having a monumental movement this year. So I hope that they can mitigate for some of the loss in this funding.
Okay, always great these conversations, Mohit. Thanks for the time this morning.